what we want to do, what is going to be a proof is that if all of you tomorrow, when you graduate from here, then we don't have to say, but the employers say that this is a talent that is so levels above everybody else that is out there.
4 very key values: respect, integrity, curiosity, and excellence, right? And like to make sure that we can remember them all very easily, it also acronyms to RICE, RICE.
There is the saying that every relationship you have in life, which you care about, you average your neural network weights with them. You agree to average your weights with them, right?
So there are 4 truths I wanted to share with all of you.
Whatever you have learned, if now that is not used in the industry, how within a period of 2 months you can become the master of the next thing? That is what we are going to train you here in these next 4 years.
As you already know that here at the Scalar School of Technology, you are going to be taught by the leaders from Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and Adobe. The curriculum is industry vetted with a unique one-on-one mentorship model. Here you will specialize in the new age technologies along with a 1-year paid internship. So are you ready to get started? Yes. I can't hear you. We have a great day planned for all of you here. In the first half, we have distinguished panel speakers who will enlighten you all with their amazing journeys in life. Post-lunch, we have an orientation by our Scalar team. And also, we have planned for you a fun-filled evening. So are you all ready?
Let me just talk about how it all started. Maybe 10, 15 years back, I was in exactly the same shoes as I was maybe sitting on one of these tables at one of these colleges. But I think very, very similar to one of the chief guests that we have today, who will talk about his own journey, but there were some of us who were rebels, who didn't adhere to the curriculums. We went out of that, and then I started participating in competitive programming competitions, did well there, and then got hired into Google and Facebook. What I realized, however, post that, through a very personal journey of my own family members who were also aspiring to becoming engineers, is that there is a large gap in education here. I just remember this one instance where I was talking to my younger brother who was studying at one of these colleges, and he was memorizing the code to write palindrome, find out whether a string is palindrome, because that was told by their faculty that this is the question that is going to come in exams. And that was fundamentally broken. That's basically like somebody telling you that memorize this mathematical question because it is going to come in exams. Because it felt very broken. So that was when me and Abhimanyu, we had always thought about starting a company together. In fact, the first company that Abhimanyu had, I also had some part to play there. So that was when me and Abhimanyu had met, and he was equally excited about doing something for education in India. And that's when both of us left our jobs. What we want to do, what is going to be a proof is that if all of you tomorrow, when you graduate from here, then we don't have to say, but the employers say that this is a talent that is so levels above everybody else that is out there. You guys go and create companies that define the future. If that happens, then we are successful. And that's the benchmark I would like all of you to set for yourself as well. Go and challenge the normal and break the ceiling.
Someone asked me that, like at Scalar School of Technology, what do we look for? What are the things that are really, really important for Scalar School of Technology? And then probably I want to emphasize on that what are the core values that we all should, really, really care about. Like kind of commit to ourselves that we will hold ourselves to very high standards of that. And if I define them, like these are 4 very key values: respect, integrity, curiosity, and excellence, right? And like to make sure that we can remember them all very easily, it also acronyms to RICE, RICE, right? Second thing, as Anshuman was saying, that back in 2006, we were two kids just sitting in a similar hall. I can talk about myself. I was very anxious. I was someone who had stepped into, a place which was filled with nerds, very similar to this one. And I was someone who had never touched a computer before coming to the college. So I was very, very anxious that, what would happen to me? Would I really be able to cope up with things? So I want to emphasize, do not worry. As long as you are curious, you strive for excellence, it will hardly take few months for you to figure things out. So don't worry, it's a new city, it's a beautiful city, it's an amazing city, and plus you are in the company of amazing people, you will figure things out.
Me and Anshuman go a long time back, like 15 years. We've always sort of, met each other over the years. And I mean, I've seen InterviewBit like, since the founding days, and it's amazing where it has come. I do think this is like pivotal to like, this can sort of fundamentally reshape India. Like, I do think the impact of what you guys are creating together is sort of like going to put the spotlight on India for the next decade. There is this saying that every relationship you have in life, which you care about, you average your neural network weights with them. You agree to average your weights with them, right? If your parents, if you care about your parents and they care about you getting a really stable job at Google, there is an implicit transfer of those weights into your brain because you care about them, and society, like 99% of society, if their weights are aligned towards status quo, that's going to transfer to you, whether you like it or not. And the antidote to that tends to be like a physical location of optimists, of believers, who can laugh at taking risks, who can sort of fail, there is a safe space, and who actually sort of believe that they can do exceptional things, and that, I think, is the bottleneck. The bottleneck to world progress, humanity's progress, is not talent. There is a lot of talent. There is a lot of smart people all over the world. It's not capital. We just came from an era of negative interest rates. Like, clearly there is a ton of capital in the world, right? It's actually like, conviction and belief and ambition. And that is actually insanely hard to have. It's easier to say, but it's actually really, really hard to have. Unless you're around a group of people who all sort of have that.
Good morning, sir. My name is Anshuman. I have a question for you, that what should our goal be in 5 years if we want to be like you?
I think, we're all lucky to have like, large transformations in society right in front of us. There are so many things that are sort of happening at the same time, and you guys are all sort of like entering the prime years of your career, on top of these transformations. And there is a saying, like really old saying, be careful what you wish for in your 20s, for it shall be granted in your 30s. Like, I totally believe it. Like, I've seen that happen many times. So yeah, the world suddenly got like really flexible and fluid. You can change things. And I think a lot of that is due to the internet. Like, internet is huge for like humans. We suddenly, like, it is sort of equivalent to like invention of language. Like, when we first invented language, like the rate at which we can innovate sort of exponentiated because we could transfer things between each other. And just now, we've just like connected all our brains at the speed of light. So, everything is breaking, like even unrelated things unrelated to the internet, like space travel or like, nuclear fusion, those things are breaking, which I think is because like internet is sort of at the center of all this. We've sort of going through an exponent. And, location is no longer becoming important to participate in this economy. Location is still very important, but it's like less important today. So, you guys have this sort of like large changes to societies happening right in front of you. So, I think if you're really curious about any one of those and like become very, very deep into it, you're just like following deep into it and like form independent thought or opinions about like what's actually happening, what is going to be the future, and like build on it and contribute to it. It's an amazing opportunity for all of us. And if you're able to do good original work on the frontier, and the frontier is really accessible now. you know, over a long period of time, you'll be rewarded. You'll be immensely rewarded, be it like creation of wealth, be it like, you know, more knowledge to humanity, you know, be it on any of those dimensions. I mean, that's what I would seek.
Thank you, sir.
So I think, so there are 4 truths I wanted to share with all of you. The first is, learning to learn is a superpower in this industry. This is truly, truly, you know, the most meta skill that you can actually learn. That if we were to break that down, there are 2 aspects to it. The first thing is that the method of learning itself for most of you, I'm guessing pretty much all of you, is actually going to go through a significant change. The way we tend to learn in school has a very different color to it than how we prepare ourselves for the industry. Obviously, folks at Scalar, you know, are pretty well known for their industry proximity in terms of how they think about curriculums and stuff. So I'm guessing, you know, that's going to be less of a challenge for you. Second thing is that because the industry changes very fast, learnability actually becomes a differentiator. And I completely share what Prasanna mentioned. I had it independently as a point as well, that learning in this industry is actually a lifelong process. All right, so this is very different. At least I don't know how it happened in your household. In my household, my parents would be always like, you know, bas ye kar lo and uske baad fir masti hai. You know, college kar lo, uske baad masti hai. It turned out to be a very different story. I didn't go into medical because apparently doctors have to learn for a very long time. I didn't realize that in technology it would be a very different story. But over time, I found myself, you know, having fallen in love with learning, and that's something that I'm hoping a lot of you end up doing as well. Coming to the second truth, foundations will serve you much, much better than individual skills. Foundations tend to have a much longer shelf life than individual skills. Skills on their own tend to have much lesser shelf life, but they have a lot of appeal. Appeal in terms of hireability, because you cannot apply a foundation when you are actually doing, you can apply only a skill, you know, when you are trying to build something. Foundations shape the way you think, but the way you actually do things, that's where skill comes into the picture. Okay? So it's something to bear in mind as you guys you know, go through your learning process, to try to figure out, while developing all of your skills, how to also keep up with the foundational elements of things. My tip to you is that try to push the limits of whatever it is that you're using, because that is often a very good way to figure out motivation.
Hello, sir. My name is Abhinav Gupta, and my question is, like, as you said, this learning is not now limited to a college, and we have to do this forever. So what skills we should learn now? After fundamentals, what are the skills that in the today's time, the AI time, when ChatGPT can mostly do everything, we can for now, except for maths question, right? Yeah, that is hard for it, logic, yeah, all that. But in few years, maybe that will be possible also. So what skills we should be building right now that will help us in the future? Like after in 3-4 years when we are looking for jobs.
This kind of question is very good. I hear this all the time. I don't think engineering is going anywhere. Okay? Skills will get displaced. Okay, I'll give you an example. When I entered college, that was in '98, you know, writing a website involved learning a language called HTML. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm sort of calling out language is because we don't really consider it a language anymore. Okay. And within, I think, about 5 to 10 years, there's a whole bunch of these tools that had come up, which can allow somebody without knowing that language to build a website. Okay, obviously, you know, then these people move to saying that, oh, these tools create very heavy websites. Okay, they choke up the bandwidth. Those of you who were around at that time know, I don't know if you guys remember some of this, but so the engineers then moved to, by virtue of me knowing HTML, I can create much thinner, much more efficient languages. So this cat and mouse game actually has gone on for decades, right? Assembly to compile to more modern, higher level languages. I think things keep on changing. What does not change, I'll tell you. Problem motivation, understanding of the problem. Does AI face a problem or do humans face a problem? Humans face the problem. Is that going to change? Unlikely, right? Leaving aside the Matrix kind of scenario, if you've watched that movie, unlikely, right? Humans have motives, desires, and these are not things that are actually, even with the current, all the known current set of AI technologies, none of those things can be baked into. They can only be faked in an AI, okay? So that remains constant, all right? So as an engineer, your job is to understand problems and figure out how do I use all of my understanding of the best of technology, the best of mathematics, the best of modeling capabilities, the best of sciences to solve that problem. That is what truly the common constant across the history of engineering, from the time of steam engine I'm actually talking about. Okay, so that is not going anywhere. The tools and the techniques that you use, they will keep on changing. But guess what? If your foundational elements are poor, what will happen is that your association of your identity as an engineer, as a problem solver, will become so coupled with a particular skill that as that skill diminishes, as the lifetime of that skill diminishes, you are also diminishing. You do not want to be in that position. So what does that mean? That if we have to think about longevity in this industry, let's think about how do we develop that meta skill, identifying problems and leveraging everything that we can to have the best or the most cost efficient or the most efficient or the most liked solution to that problem, okay? The real threat about AI is that AI will be able to do a lot of this, okay? But guess what? AI will find, at least this is my prediction, you guys can hold me accountable to it in public forums later. AI can't do high order thinking.
6 years ago, there was a post on Hacker News that had a deep impact on me. And agar ye video of that goes on social media, please put the ID of that person who actually posted, because I want to give them credit. And I'm like taking inspiration from that post, but like adding my own creativity. So that post spoke about entrepreneurship and how do you succeed in entrepreneurship. And I'm going to generalize it for like life. And this is something that I believe in. So imagine that a life is like a carnival. It's like a fair. Mela hai, theek hai? Zindagi ek mela hai, aur us mele mein like all of us are playing in that mela. Unfortunately, like this game and this life isn't as fair. So I shared that there are 140 crore, 1.4 billion Indians, and not every Indian gets the same opportunity, right? So like Bloom Ventures published a report where it said that you can divide India into 3 parts. India 1, India 2, India 3. So India 1 mein mere jaise log hain, like I was born in a very privileged family, I'm very comfortable in English, मुझे टमाटर का प्राइस नहीं पता है, you know. अगर टमाटर कम हो गया, टमाटर ज़्यादा हो गया, मेरी ज़िंदगी में कुछ फ़र्क नहीं पड़ेगा. And अगर government change हो गई, तो more or less like my life would not be impacted. I live a very good life. India too, as people maybe जिसको हम middle class बोलते हैं, like so like there may be many surveys, but say 20,000 to 40,000 rupees is your family income. So you may not have an AC, you have a cooler at home, you have maybe 1 bike, right? And that's maybe say 70% of India is India 2. India 3 is that India which earns less than 20,000 rupees a year. So in many ways, you are one accident away from absolute poverty. तो अगर बीमारी हो गई किसी की family में, तो सारी savings आपकी उसमें चले जाएंगी, and that's India 3. Now in this carnival, there are few things. One is there is not only one dart game. Okay, there are many, like game is one, but there are many tables. So इधर एक table है, this is the game for engineers. And इधर जो game है, that is the game for entrepreneurs. And this game is for like writer, that game is for film director, right? Now the challenge is when you come and it's your chance to throw, say you miss. Now typically in a game when you miss, the game's over. Unfortunately, fortunately, if you're from India 1, if you're like me, I can miss, but I can go back and rejoin the line, okay? So I can throw the dart maybe 5 times, maybe 10 times, maybe 15 times. But agar mera 15 time, if I hit the bullseye, everyone will think, oh my God, Mohak is so smart, right? He hit the bullseye. I'm from India 1. In India 2, if you're from India 2, you will get one chance to throw. So if you hit, your life would have changed. If you don't hit, you stay where you are. India 3, which is most of India, is not even playing the game. So agar ye table hai, I pick the dart from here, India 3 is that person who's on the other side of the table. They're the ones who pick up the dart for the upper class and the middle class from the dartboard, and they hand it back to them so that they can play. Okay, India 3 is not in the game. So, and like some of us, like hopefully either you got financed or you got a scholarship, but there was already in application to Scalar a barrier tha, which was the barrier of 500 rupees. 500 rupees, right? You have to apply. 1,000 rupees, okay. There are people who are probably smarter than you, are more hardworking than you, but they couldn't afford that 1,000 rupees. When they went to their parents, कि मुझे 1,000 rupees चाहिए to apply to Scalar, they're like, no, I don't have that money. Or those people who cannot afford to get a 4-year education because they have to start working now. They have to start working when they're 18 or 17, right? So why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story that at Scalar and in life, you have to do 2 things now. First is you have to decide which table you want to play your darts in. Do you want to play your darts in engineering? You have to play your darts in filmmaking. You have to play your darts in journalism. Second, your likelihood of success would increase when you make sure you get multiple throws at the dartboard. Because no one would hit the jackpot. Only rare people would hit the jackpot at once. So you have to make sure that you get as many throws on the dartboard as possible.
One thing that I can assure you is tech is going to, like as Mark Andreessen says, software is eating the world. AI will eat a lot of real world. So I think the wave will continue, but new things also will come. It's very hard to predict. If Apple Vision Pro takes over, dude, yeah, AR development, people have been talking since like 10 years. It has gone through ups and downs. We don't know. Maybe Apple will kill it. So it's very hard to predict the future, but just make sure you have the strong foundations, as Amod was saying, so that you can ride a wave when it comes.
Surrounded by an esteemed faculty and staff. Some you've heard already, some are around you that you haven't heard so far. And in between all of this is you, right? And that's amazing, right? Just look around the room and feel good about where you are. Because you're going to be spending 4 years of your time with these people around you as well.
We have created this entire ecosystem where there are so many layers and so many people who will constantly keep an eye out to make sure that you don't get distracted, right? But a lot of that discipline will also have to come from within.
The most important thing that you are going to learn from here in these 4 years is learning how to learn. Because as Prasanna said, as Amod said, technologies will come and go. Skills are not going to be persistent. If you know something right now, if you know JavaScript, if you know, let's say, React, if you know Angular, doesn't matter, because probably in a period of 5-6 years, all of this would be replaced by some other technologies. but the fundamentals will still be there. So it's like a funnel. You have small number of fundamentals, and there are a lot of skills that you can create using that. So how to cope with that? If whatever you have learned, if now that is not used in the industry, how within a period of 2 months you can become the master of the next thing? That is what we are going to train you here in these next 4 years.